James Harris III. This pyramid's going to have style now that I'm working on it. That's what I tell the group on the first day. I'm Prez. And everybody better do exactly what I say now that I'm Prez, too, or else you're going to get a beating from me. James, Colin raises his eyebrows and gives the teacher look, but I just pretend to ignore it. I stroll on over to the big pyramid that Marcel and Collins have been starting to glue together, and I show them how they don't have a clue about what they're building. Why are you gluing the colors like that? I point to a section where the purple and green and yellow tetrahedrons have been all mixed together. You should be gluing the same colors next to each other. You know, to make big sections of purple, then blue, and then green. I show them with my hands, so the whole pyramid looks like a rainbow when it's done. That would make more sense than this mess. I wave my arm at the pyramid. So I've been sitting back there in the corner drawing my comics and watching them try to build this pyramid for about a month now. And it's been cracking me up because Collins can't build and Marcel doesn't know what he's doing when it comes to art. Just look at his daddy's barbecue signs. I could have given them about 50 ideas for how to make the pyramid look better, but they didn't ask me for help, did they? I got the idea for making the rainbow a while ago. I was sitting there in the back of the class doing nothing one day, and I remembered something I did in art class when I was in third or fourth grade. The art teacher, who was a cool guy who sometimes played music, in class had us soak this heavy piece of white paper with water and then paint big stripes of different colors. The water on the paper made the colors blend together like a rainbow, and once the paper dried, we did pen and ink drawings on top of it. Mine was a bald eagle with his wings out. It was one of the best things I'd ever done, and I wish I still had it, but I didn't. Who knows where all that stuff went? But I figured if the tetrahedrons were glued together by color, they would blend into a rainbow just like the painting did. Even though nobody else looks like they agree, Colin says he likes my idea, and since the pieces are only attached to the points, it wouldn't be too hard to pull apart the glued ones and rearrange them. We haven't gotten too far building anyway, he says, and that's the truth. So that's not how I started turning the project around. Trust me, Barbecue Face Williams never would have thought of this rainbow idea if he was still being Prez. Every day I stay later and later at school, trying to keep everybody doing what they're supposed to do and not messing up the colors. Afterwards, I ride home on the bus, still trying to peel the dried glue off my fingers. Sometimes I don't get back to my uncle's apartment until way past 4 o'clock. Come dragging in, half-starved, and find DJ and his friends hanging out in the living room with their cans and cigarette butts lying around everywhere. Don't know why they can't pick up nothing. Hey, math boy, they call out. Go out and find us something to eat. I'm not sure what's up with DJ these days, but he's getting a real attitude, like he's turning into somebody I don't even know. We always used to look out for each other. When we first came to our uncle's, I remember the two of us sitting on the beds in the apartment, and my brother just saying that even though it had been just the two of us now, I could always count on him as my family. He was serious, too, which he almost never is. Then he told me the story for the 100th time about how he was the one who carried me up 3 flights of stairs by himself when I was about 4 or 5 and fell on the sidewalk outside the apartment where we lived back then and cut open my forehead. These days, I figured he'd probably just leave me face down on the cement. I think that's why I keep spending more and more time with Math Club, because DJ isn't acting like anybody I'd call family, or anybody I'd even related to me. And I'm tired of getting ordered around by him and all of his friends. Or maybe I just like being Prez and telling everybody else what to do. Rondell. Quiescent. I saved the word from the poem we read in class, and although it was used to describe caterpillars curled up in their cocoons, I liked it. I sometimes feel like a caterpillar hidden inside a cocoon, even though my aunt, Asia, often tells me I need to consider changing how I am around people. Aunt Asia is my mom's younger sister. She works as a stylist at Style R Us hair salon, and she's kind of the person who doesn't mind talking to anybody and everybody. I think she probably wishes my mom and I were more like her, but I believe that being quiet and hidden means that you sometimes notice things that other people don't. One of the things I've noticed after coming to Mr. Collins' math class is that since the end of September is how people are different than they seemed at first. For instance, I've worked with Charisse since the first day, but I've learned that she is somebody who has some very odd beliefs and superstitions about things, which you don't realize until you spend time with her. Purple. Now that's my good luck color, she always says when we're working together, folding and gluing little tetrahedrons. Hand me all the purple. The first time she said it, I asked her why purple was her good luck color, and she gave me an annoyed look and said, "What's wrong with having a favorite color, Rondell? Don't you?" There are other colors she won't touch. I have to fold all the yellow and blue, for example. Get that paper away from me, Rondell, she'd tell me, pushing a stack across the desk. Those colors are bad luck for me, real bad luck. Don't even let me look at them. But how could certain colors be good luck or bad luck to somebody? I wonder. And why? Marcel is different than I expected to. Even though everybody always thinks he's good looking and smooth, if you really watch him, you'll notice that he acts like he's nervous deep down. His brown eyes flicker around the room when he's talking to you, and his foot taps up and down, and he never sits anywhere too long. He perches like a jumpy bird on the heater, or on the teacher's desk, or on the edge of a chair. He and Mr. Collins are usually the ones who take our little pieces as we finish them and join them together to make larger tetrahedron. It takes steady hands to glue the pieces together to point. Maybe because his whole body seems like it's always moving and balancing on the edge of something. Marcel is better than anybody at doing this. But metamorphosis is the college word I've picked for James. For weeks, he showed up after school and wouldn't help with any part of the project. He sat in the corner near the windows, with his big feet propped to the chair in front of him, and drew in his notebook or spun quarters on his desk until they flew across the room and hit the walls or the front of the metal heater, making all of us jump. My mom would have called him trouble with a capital T. And then overnight, he turned into somebody else. Once he became president, he started bringing in his sketches of how the tetrahedron should be built and where all the colors should go. His idea was to make the pyramid look like a rainbow, even though everybody thought he wasn't being serious at first, that he was trying to be rude to Marcel by making him take apart everything he had done. Now I can see what he meant, how the colors are supposed to blend into each other. But sometimes I wonder if James Harris has really changed, or if underneath he's pretending to care about the math club and being president is the same person. He still calls Marcel Barbecue Face and me Ron Dull, no matter how many times Mr. Collins warns him about not using those names. And Charisse told me she heard that James' father is in jail for drugs and he lives with his older brother who has been in trouble for drugs too. They're bad news, she says. Could someone who is bad news really change that much? For a math project? Was it a metamorphosis or something else? Charisse, I'm the one who comes up with the idea for the Christmas party. Sometimes when we're working, the silence will come over the room when all you can hear is the buzzing of the fluorescent lights or the clanking of the old heating pipes. And if it goes on for too long, it kind of makes me crazy, you know? Maybe it reminds me too much of the Washington Boulevard Library or of sitting in the hospital room next to my gram when she was sick. So I'm the one who always tries to keep the conversation going. When it's too quiet, I pull a question out of thin air. Whatever pops into my head, whatever I want to know right at the moment. Why do fluorescent lights buzz? Is the new English teacher gay? Why does it get dark so fast in the winter? I've got a question, Mr. Collins, I say in silence, making my voice a little louder on purpose, and everybody will crack up, except for Rondell, who usually just bites the bottom of her lip to keep from smiling too much and looks the other way. Yes, Charisse, Mr. Collins will answer from somewhere on the other side of the big tetrahedron where he's working. What's on your mind? What about a Christmas party? I asked one afternoon. The snow's coming down like pillowcase stuffing outside the math room windows, and maybe that's what gave me the idea. Or maybe it's the Christmas music I've been listening to every day in the mall that won't get out of my head now. Have a holly jolly Christmas. You know, the one that does, what does that mean? Anyway, don't you think having a Christmas party is a good idea, Rondell? I kick her chair leg with my foot, trying to get her to agree. Rondell glances around in her usual way before she says in a not sure voice. Marcel jumps in. I can bring all the food, he says. Whatever you want. Ribs, wings, sandwiches. My daddy's got the best barbecue in the whole state of Ohio. Yeah, right, James snorts, even though everybody pretends not to hear him. Sure, okay, why not, Mr. Collins answers, breaking into a big smile. Which you don't see very often in class. Let's have a Christmas party. So we start planning who will bring what, the food, the dessert, the decorations, the plastic plates, the cups, the drinks, the music. James is the only one who doesn't offer to bring anything because he says he isn't coming. We try to convince him that the president has to be there, but he says the prez doesn't have to do anything he doesn't want to. A prez has got better ways to spend his time than doing girly Christmas parties, he says. The rest of the day, I can't keep my mind thinking about the party. I plan about 100 different ways in my mind The last real party I remember being was at my grandma had for me. It was about 6 or 7. She brought me home a cake from the grocery store. It was a Snoopy cake because I loved Snoopy back then, and she gave me a silver necklace with a little cross that I still have, way too small to wear now. And some of the kids from her church came. That night, as I'm riding around and around on the city bus waiting for Jolene to get home, I spent too much of my time thinking about the party that I almost forgot about to give the bus passes to our stop in our 5th grade about 8 o'clock.